Oh my god. Okay. What's up, nieces and nephews? So, I've been DM'd like, hey, uncle, do you think you can do these 20 tough questions? And I was like, 20 tough questions. To me, there's no such thing as a tough question. It's just a question that's hard to answer. But I was like, okay, yeah, sure, send me the link. And sure enough, he did. So, we're just going to go down the list and I'll answer them for you guys. So, let's get it started then, shall we? Get this over with. Is there anything that you should have let go a long time ago but are still holding on to? Well, that's a good one. So, is there anything that you should have let go a long time ago but you're still holding on to? So, right here, so I was really close to one of my cousins. His name was Andrew, right? Well, I considered him like a brother or whatever. So this is his necklace, right? We had the exact same necklace. Like honestly, like ours are the exact same. Now, he was murdered in gang violence in 2018, I believe. So, when he died, I was there. Well, not I wasn't there, but when I went to the scene, it was pretty traumatic and all that. All of the close friends were, angry and such. And I swapped necklaces. He was cremated and spread, so obviously I can't go to, like a cemetery and see him. I can only go to the areas that he was spread. So this is literally the only thing I have left of him. Now there are some people saying, "Oh, well, you're not letting him go, or you're just trapped on the past, or whatever." And this is just one thing that I've kept it from the past that I should have let go. But honestly, I don't think I'll ever let it go. When people are asking me like, "Hey, where'd you get your chain?" Oh, that's a nice chain. I'm like, hey, thanks. This is one of person I figured. I thought of them as like a brother. We've been friends, or not. We've been close family since birth. He was like the older brother that I clearly never had because I'm the oldest son in my family. I have an older sister, but not an older brother, and that's exactly what he was to me. And if I could, I would definitely trade. I would definitely trade my life for his if I could. That's just one thing, as an example, though. Next question. If this was the last day of your life, would you still do the same things that you did today? Well, if I knew it was going to be my last day, there are a couple things that I would do and wouldn't do. Now, when people say, "Oh, live every day like it's your last day," well, any day can be your last day. No one really expects it to be their last day unless they're planning on it or unless they know it's coming. If I knew that, today would be my last day, I'd be up at 12 a.m. I'd see my friends, my family, tell them I love them and all that. I'd eat because, die full, not hungry, you know. And if I knew it was going to be my last day, well, since I'm a stuck up prick, I wouldn't apologize to anybody that I'm beefing with. I take my grudges to the grave, but that's just me, though. But honestly, I don't know. I would just make sure that if it was my last day, I would laugh and I would smile just as much as possible times 10. And, if you're going to die, die happy. Die doing what you want to do. And I definitely wouldn't do the exact same things that I would do today because I always wake up expecting to see the next day. But if I knew I wasn't going to see the next day, I would make sure that I smiled and I laughed and I ate as much as possible with the people that I love the most. And I think that's something that we can all agree is probably the best. Number 3, what worries you the most about the future? So, what worries me most about the future is that I know it's not going to be what it is in the present, because the present isn't what it was like in the past. Well, I wouldn't say I'm worried about that. It's just I'm more worried about the fact that it's not that I'm worried that it's going to be different. I'm just worried about the fact that it's going to be different, knowing that it might not be what I want it to be. You know, like in the future, I would love to be with, you know, a woman with multiple kids, yada yada. I want to have this, I want to have that. And then in the future, you know, I might not be with that woman. I might not have all these kids. I might not do the career path that I wanted to do. So it's just, it worries me that I know that the future might not be what I want it to be. And honestly, that's just something that you have to accept. And honestly, I'm okay with that. It's just, we're all going to experience it and we're probably not going to like it, but it is what it is and it's going to be what it's going to be, whether you like it or not. You know, it's just make sure that you do what you can and everything should fall into place. Number 4, if your inner voice was an actual person and talked to you the way it usually does, would you enjoy the conversation and keep in touch with them? Absolutely. The inner voice in your head is literally the only voice that is with you 25/8. The thing I like about my inner voice is, you know, with me as a person, I see my inner voice as a completely different person. Because my inner voice agrees and disagrees with me. It gives me advice even I don't even know about. Like, how am I thinking like this? Like, I never knew I could think like that, you know? So I would definitely keep in touch with my inner voice if it was an actual person. We'd be talking on the daily because I go to my inner voice first for advice or for criticism or for whatever. And actually, we be having some interesting conversations. Trust me. Number 5, do you think there's a difference between living and existing? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Existing, it's like you're just there. You know, you don't enjoy anything. You're just around. And living is, you know, living your life, doing whatever it is you want to do. You know, like like the previous questions, if you knew it was going to be your last day, would you live or exist? Answer that question. There's definitely a difference. If you really learn from your mistakes, this is number 6, why are you so afraid of making them? Well, I'm afraid of making the mistakes because of what I am going to learn from them. And honestly, you can't run from a mistake and you can't run from making a mistake. And a mistake is just something that didn't happen the way you wanted it to be. And honestly, learning from your mistakes is harder than making the mistakes because it proves to you just how much those choices that you make pushes you down or lifts you up. And whichever one it does, that's completely up to you. Number 7. What type of legacy do you want to leave behind? When I think of legacy, I think of my children. But I'm assuming it's talking about me as a person. And I want people thinking of me other than my kid, well, and my kids, but I want them thinking of me that, you know, I was a genuine person. I cared for everybody, not just myself, even the people who were different from me. I want all my kids to be loving and accepting of other people, of who they are. Uh, Work ethic. I was a great person. I would like them to think I was a funny, caring, happy, soft person, a soul. I made sure that everybody eats. If you knew me in real life, I would always ask you, hey, did you eat? Are you hungry? Do you want to eat? Um, want them knowing that I'm passionate about the things that I am passionate about. Make sure that you're okay, I'm okay, everything's okay. Um, just that I was that I was that person. Number 8. When you and everyone you know is dead, will people still remember you, or will you be completely forgotten? Well, that's one of my fears, is just being forgotten, because it's like no one knows who I am. So that's also the legacy that you leave behind, the previous question. Honestly, if people forget you, you just, I don't know, it really depends on the person, the people. I can't tell you if people are going to remember me or not. It's just the impact on the people I leave behind, because chances are, unless you're just a hermit who stays in your house, never leaves, never talks to anyone, they will even remember that, unless they never even knew of your existence, period. Like, they will remember you as that hermit that stayed in your house. So they'll remember you, just not in the way you probably want them to. I think it's kind of hard to completely forget somebody, but trust me, it does happen, and I would like people to remember me in my entirety, the good and the bad. That's just me, though. And number 9, is the thing you want to achieve really that hard to achieve, or is it that you didn't try hard enough to achieve it? Well, the thing that I want to achieve really hard, or the thing that I want to achieve, isn't that hard. I want to have many kids and be there for them. So it's not hard to achieve that. So to me, that's pretty easy. So I'll ask you, is the thing that you want to achieve that hard to achieve? Or is it that you didn't try hard enough? Now, a lot of people who say things that are a little more difficult to achieve, like actual happiness, instead of, if people are depressed or angry with themselves or something, and they want to achieve, being happy, that's different. That's a mental, psychological thing. And honestly, if you can't do it yourself, get help. Trust me, it can help you. It didn't help me because I was stubborn as hell. And honestly, it's just I didn't do well with, doctors, medications. I didn't do well with that. I healed with laughing and smiling. And then honestly, that actually helped me, joking around, dark humor, friends and family, eating. That's what made me a happier person in the end. But everybody's different. I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. I can just tell you what I did and what worked for me. And if you try to do it and it works for you, awesome. And if it doesn't work, remember, everybody's different. We all got to do different things. Number 10, halfway through. If life's short, why do we dwell on the things that don't matter? Well, that's the thing. If life is short, we tend to dwell on things that impact our small amount of our life, Because, to be honest, if you put it that way, nothing matters, Like, oh, why is my father so pissed off that my mother left him after a 20-year marriage? Like, it's just, our lives are short, yes, but honestly, what, you average like 80 years on a healthy life? And put it this way, my father, 20-year marriage, he's 50 now, that's 20 years of his life, which is like what, a quarter of his lifespan if it's healthy, So it's like, it's just the importance of things and the impact that it leaves on you people really tend to dwell on those. And honestly, I'm to blame for that too. Like, I be dwelling on things from years ago, and it takes me a while to like get over it. Mainly because now I'm dealing with something else that trumps whatever happened last time. But honestly, I would just try and move on from it as soon as possible. The quicker, the better. And however you can do that, that's up to you. Number 11. If you don't have what you want, what do you have to lose? I lose what I have trying to get what I want. That's pretty simple. Like, that kind of question's kind of worded weirdly, because you can lose a lot trying to get what you want if it's not what you need, you know? So I want a lot of things, but I don't need it, Put it this way. Let's say you're a guy, you want girl A and you want girl B. Girl A is a bookworm, she's really smart, she's really nice, she's family oriented, she's average looking. And then girl B, hot, cheerleader, big, everything that you want, but her personality is trash, she doesn't care about you. You want her. You don't want girl A. So when you're thinking about it from an outside perspective, like, girl A is much better for you. But you want girl B? But she's literal trash? Maybe that was a bad example, but if you think about it, it's the exact same thing. Like, focus on what you need rather than what you want. Because most of the time, you don't want what you need. But you also don't need what you want. That's just something you need to know. Number 12. What makes you think that you're special? Well, that's the thing, Because it depends on who you ask. You ask a stranger, he'll say you're not, because you're not special to him. You ask your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister or your family, your children, your nieces, your nephews, my nieces or nephews, they'll tell you, oh, you're special to me because you make me think more, or you made me realize how important I am as a person. Oh, you made me not want to commit suicide. Oh, you made me rethink my choices. So honestly, special is just a relative term, Let's see. When times are hard, the average person at least, they're very desperate, for like that little glimpse of encouragement or a pat on the back, because that's all someone really needs every now and then. A pat on the back is probably, when you never had one before, it can make you cry. All right, there was one of my idols, Carl Sagan. He said, when times are hard, we become desperate for encouragement, unreceptive to the litany of great devotions and dashed hopes. And we are much more willing to hear that we're special. Never mind the evidences paper him. Which basically means no matter how bad of a person you are, like shit, even Hitler, okay, every now and then he just wants to hear that he's doing a good job, or that he's a good person, or that he's special. No matter what other people think about you, That's what that means. So honestly, you're all special to different people. That's just my take on it, and many others. Number 13. How many friends do you have that you can trust with your life? Well, I've had the same friends for my entire life. So, a lot of them. But when it comes to my life, when you have friends and family, well, in this case, friends, when you've had friends for your entire life that you've done everything with, and I'm military, so I was state to state to state, and I'm still friends with those people, they've become your life just as much as you've become their life. And no matter how many miles away you are from them, it's literally one call, one text, one letter. You know, it's like I trust them all. And I don't know how many I can count, but no, they may not be the best people, but I look up to them, they look up to me, we watch out for each other. And honestly, those kinds of relationships are the best. Number 14, what do you spend your money on? Do you think you're making good investments? Okay, so I'm not. What do I spend my money on? Let's talk about that. Clearly not like designer shoes anymore. I used to spend it on shoes, and I was a real sneakerhead back in the day, like thousands of dollars a month out my ass just for some dead stock J's or Yeezys or whatever, foam posits. But I've stopped doing that, and honestly, now I spend my money on having good times, food, movies. You know, adults are like, oh, you're fucking spending your money. Like, obviously, older adults, like 40s and 50s, are looking at me and they're like, oh, you need to spend your money on this or that. You know, I maintain my trucks. I feed my friends and family. We go out, drive, have a good time. Honestly, I don't care how much money I spend. If we have a good time, that's all that matters, man. Number 15, is your job giving you anything other than money? Well, not anymore. But it did give me a good time. It gave me many people that I talk to this day who left or got fired or whatever the case. It gave me good experiences. All of my jobs gave me a real, you know, I've been working since I was like 15. So honestly, having a jobs really helped out a lot in growing up and maturing and learning responsibility. It's honestly like, it taught me a couple lessons that I had to learn on my own. Number 16, almost done. What are the biggest change you want to make in your life in 1 year? What's the biggest change you want to make in your life in 1 year? 365 days. Well, what's the biggest change? I'm not sure. I want to make that one choice that's going to change my entire life again, but I don't know what it is. When it comes, I'll make the choice, and we'll see how that goes. Number 17, which responsibilities of yours are you running away from at the moment? Which responsibilities of mine am I running away from? I don't think I'm running away from any of my responsibilities. I could be a better, younger and bigger brother. There's no excuse for that. I can be, and I'm gonna be. You know, nothing more important than family. So that's a responsibility of mine that I've been running from for a long time, because I've always wanted to be, you know, that lone wolf, basically, that I didn't need anybody. I can do it on my own, and I can, and I have been like that. It's just, you know, I have a responsibility and an obligation to be a big brother and a little brother for my sister, that I haven't been for a while, but I will definitely be doing that. 18. Are there any mistakes you keep making over and over again? Trusting the same statements over and over again. And when I'm talking about that, I mean like, oh, he's just a friend, or oh, we're not doing anything, or oh, I promise you this, I promise you that. The thing is, I don't believe it, but I try to trust it, or I don't trust it, but I try to believe it. It's just, I know how they always turn out, and I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but turns out all the same, man. And that's just, I can't. Number 19, one more after this. Is there anything that you don't want to die before? Is there anything that you don't want to die before doing? Is there anything that I want to do before dying? I'm gonna just assume that's what that meant. I'm a family man. I want to have as many kids as possible. I want to raise them. I want to be there on their first days of school, their graduation, their 16th and their 18th birthday, their driving lessons, teaching them how to ride a bike. Obviously, it would be before driving a truck or a car. Be there for them when they buy their first house. I want to buy their first car, like I said, want to be a grandfather. I want to do all of those things before I die. That's just common sense. Is there anything, now 20, last one. Is there anything worse than death for you? There's a lot of things that I would think of as worse than death. But when it comes to that, I would say yes. Watching my whole life that I've spent my entire life building being taken away or destroyed or just manhandled, because then I'm watching everything I've worked for just get tossed down the drain. It's the things that I have experienced and that I'm going to experience that are going to be worse than me dying. I've already witnessed and I've already been around the closest people to me die, to just get murdered, or they killed themselves, or old age or sickness. Ever since I was young, people were always dying. But, that's two things. Honestly, man, it's just, depression has been worse than death because I really wanted to, and I've tried, obviously, like I told you guys, if you know. It's just, when I've made attempts and I never, succeeded, I was pissed. I tried multiple times. Like, how can you fail at this? It's the one thing. But, I'm grateful that it didn't work. And anyone suffering through it, they clearly want to die. They don't want to be here. But, coming from me to you, I'm happy that it didn't work. As selfish as that is for me to say, I'm glad that it didn't work. I'm happy that it didn't. That's just one more day that you're here, which means that there's one more day that you can try and better yourself. You do have to just keep your head up. You do have to keep holding on. You do have to keep trying, because in the end, as dark as this tunnel is going to be, and as dark as it's going to be for a while, it's going to be okay, and it's going to get brighter, and it's going to get better. And then one time in the future, far future or near future, you'll just look back at it and you'll just be like, wow, I'm glad that it didn't work, just like me. So, thank you guys for watching, and I love you all. Peace, guys.